Hey guys, Derek here with another video. So it's been a while since I've done a video, and today's kind of like cold and rainy, and kind of the perfect day to just sit in bed and like play handheld games and stuff. So I figured, actually, it kind of reminded me of my Game Boy collection. So I figured I would do a Game Boy collection because I don't think I've ever shown mine. So I'll go like Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and then Game Boy Advance. And just to let you know, I'll do Game Boy and Game Boy Color in one video, and then my Game Boy Advance collection is easily my largest my largest Game Boy collection, and most of my games are complete in box. And yeah, like the Game Boy is probably my favorite system. Anyways, we'll start with this bad boy. This is the the thing that started it all for me. This was my original Game Boy, and like this is the actual one that I had as a kid, and I still have it, and it still works actually. I used to have a sticker of Yogi Bear on here, but it's Yogi and Boo Boo Bear. I don't know why I had those stickers on here, but I did. Yeah, so this was my original Game Boy, and it really kickstarted my love of video games. And the bundle that did it, I've talked about this before, was my the bundle that came with a Link to the or Link's Awakening. And I talked about it before. Like my brother and my dad played the original Zelda, and I kind of watched them play it, and I didn't really play it all that much, and I didn't really care for video games until I got a Game Boy, and then I was completely obsessed with this game. And yeah, so I kind of really fell in love with it. And I'm just gonna show my Game Boy, I guess my Game Boys first, and then I'll show the Game Boy collection. So, uh, like the next three consoles I'll show are all consoles that I used to see in the store as a kid, and then I'd see them in magazines and in on TV and stuff. And I always wanted one, but my parents basically like after they bought the first one, they were like, "That's all you're gonna get," because there was no reason to buy multiples. Anyways, they're gonna be the Play It Loud Game Boys, and I at one point was gonna try to go for all of them, but then like collecting really caught on, and then stuff like this, like the price just got out of control, and yeah, so all the Play It Loud Game Boys became quite expensive, and finding them in the original like acrylic cases with the insert was pretty hard. So I have the green one, and then I also have the yellow one, but there's I think it's like three or four more other colors like red, blue, black, and clear. But yeah, I'll probably never get all of them. But anyways, I really like these ones. But my holy grail of all Game Boys was the Game Boy Pocket Play It Loud one. And that one, like I always used to see this case in Walmart and stuff. And like I always really wanted one. And the Game Boy Pockets are really cool because they were so much slimmer than the actual Game Boy, like the big ones, the DMG 01s. And these things just were so cool. But anyways, never had one, but I was able to find one a couple years ago, or like 2 or 3 years ago, however long it's been. And yeah, I was glad I got it. And then I'll show this, which is just like a cleaning cartridge. But I found one like complete in box. I forgot where I found it, but I was kind of shocked to run across it, and I was like, oh hey. And I think it was only like $3 or $4. Like it was basically being given away. And I was like, yeah, I'll take that. Just for nostalgia, I guess. But now we will jump into the actual games. And yeah, here we go. So my original Game Boy collection is pretty tiny. But first game up we have here is Battle Unit Zeoth. This is a side-scrolling like mech shooter game. I guess it's kind of like Bang.io if you've ever played that, except a lot more limited, obviously, since it's on the Game Boy. But it's a really cool game, and then this game is really cheap. It's really hard to find complete in box, but the cartridge of it's really cheap and it's really fun. Then we have Donkey Kong. I got this game and like four other games I think in a bundle when I had bought one of the Play It Loud Game Boys a couple of years ago, like 2 3 years ago. I don't remember how long it's been. It's pretty crazy that it's been that long, anyways. But yeah, I bought it in a bundle, and the seller is basically giving away all of her Game Boy games and stuff. So I got the Play It Loud Game Boy, this game and like five other games, and then a bunch of like old Game Boy like box inserts and stuff. But like the boxes were in immaculate shape, and then like everything was in the games. I never really liked Donkey Kong. Like I used to have a Game and Watch, like the Watch Game and Watch Donkey Kong, and I used to play it a lot, but I didn't really care for it. And then we've got Donkey Kong Land. And I know Jamie Sue has said that Donkey Kong Land is pretty fun. And I think there's like three of these games, and they basically play like Donkey Kong Country, but I've actually never booted this game up and played it. So I've never actually played a Donkey Kong Country game. But I've got one on the Wii, and I got the one that's on the Wii U. And I think if I, like, whenever I get around to it, those will probably be the first Donkey Kong Country games I play. Then if I really like them, I'll probably come back to these. And then this was another game that I got in that bundle I was talking about earlier, which is King Griffey Jr.'s Baseball. And like I remember seeing this one on the Super Nintendo and like just boxes and boxes and boxes of them in Best Buy back in the day. But I didn't really like baseball. Like I used to play one on the NES. I forgot what it was called. Maybe it was just called Baseball. But like that was about as fun of a game of baseball as I would get into because I still don't like baseball to this day. And the next game up is one that I actually used to spend a lot of my time playing, and that's Kirby's Dreamland. I had gotten this game in that bundle I was talking about, but I had this game when I was younger, and I really liked it. And like I like Kirby games, as you can probably tell, playing Kirby's Return to Dreamland. But yeah, so this game is a lot of fun. I think it's pretty hard to come by these days, and I don't know, cool game to have, I guess. This is another game that came in that bundle. I don't like Pac-Man. I hate Pac-Man with an undying passion, actually. And like if you ever go to Orlando, Disney has a a big arcade there called Disney Quest, and you can play like retro arcade games. And Pac-Man, I don't know why we're not getting focused all of a sudden. Pac-Man was one of the games that I tried playing in there, and like I almost ripped the the arcade in half. I just hate Pac-Man. It's kind of up there with um what was I just talking about? Donkey Kong maybe? Yeah, I just don't care for it. All right, and then the next game up is going to be another one of my original Game Boy games, and that's going to be Pokemon Red. My brother got Pokemon Blue, I got Pokemon Red. We didn't share Pokemon across the Game Boys because we were hoarding them for ourselves, but Pokemon was a fun game. I actually used to really like the Pokemon games, but there were so many of them for a long time that they just never changed the formula. That I just got kind of burnt out with them. So I have not played Pokemon games in a long time, and probably won't go back to it. But this game, I sank so many hours into this game. Right, next game up was a game that I bought a few years ago because I kind of thought it was like Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, but I guess it is in a sense, but it's not really in another sense. But it's called Rowland's Curse, and this game, come on, this game like the overworld looks a lot like Link to the Past and stuff, but the combat isn't really like it. Like you can pick up other characters and like you can switch between characters and they all have different abilities, but the combat in this game is really slow and yeah, it's not a really fun game, but it's still an interesting game, I guess I'll say. But there's this game, and I actually have the second game, just called just called The Blur. Anyways, Roland's Curse 2. And yeah, this game is pretty hard to find complete in box, but cartridge wise, it's pretty cheap. All right, the next game up is Solar Striker. This is just kind of a generic, like 8-bit shooter. I like the box art on it though, and yeah, here you go. It's there's not a lot going on in this game. I guess it's a good time waster, but I probably wouldn't spend any amount of money on this game. All right, the next game up is another game I spent a lot of time playing, and that's Super Mario Land 2. This is the superior Super Mario Land game. The first game was absolute trash, and this game was a lot of fun. I like the side-scrolling sections in this game because some of them reminded me a lot of the side-scrolling sections in A Link to the Past, which I'm sure Link to the God, what do I keep calling A Link to the Past? Link's Awakening lifted straight from the Super Mario Land series, but this game is interesting. The music in this game is probably some of the more memorable Super Mario music to me. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. And look at that box art. The next game up is probably my most valuable, like North American Game Boy game. And it's kind of random that it happened to be. But anyways, like I had gotten this game. I actually lost the box for it, and I ended up buying another one later in life. But I still had the cartridge for this game, and that's going to be Sword of Hope 2. And this was another game that was one of my original Game Boy games, and I sank a lot of time into it. And like during road trips and stuff with my family, I would most times be playing this game. And it's like a first-person dungeon crawler, kind of like Wizardry, and like games like that. But this game was the first game really of that type that I had ever played, and then I got into the Wizardry series on the computer. But this game, there's obviously two games since I have the second one here. I never played the first one, but the second game I found, well, I don't remember where I found it actually, but I ended up getting it for my birthday or something. I don't like, I forgot how I actually ended up getting the original copy, but I'd never like seen it again. And then once I kind of started really getting into collecting, I found my old cartridges and stuff, and then I couldn't find the box for it, so I really wanted to get the box for it again. And then I ended up finding one. But like I said, this game pretty hard to come by, and probably my most valuable um, North American Game Boy game, just going by some of the prices it sells for these days. Next game up is Tetris Attack. I've never really been a fan of Tetris, and then this game tried to add some new things to it. So it was like Tetris, Dr. Mario, and Yoshi's Cookie. Like when they started like getting kind of weird into the shapes and puzzle dropping stuff, I didn't really care for the games. I guess like games like Bust a Move and Magic Drop and stuff, I like those games, but I don't know why I never really liked Tetris. But anyways, yeah, Tetris Attack. Then my last North American game here is going to be The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. And like I talked about, this was my very first Game Boy game. Obviously, I didn't have the box version of it. I had the one that came bundled with my Game Boy. But this game, so many hours of my life dumped into, and I played it over and over and over and over. But it's such a fun game. Such a fun game. And then my last game that I'm going to show here, well, actually, I guess I'll show some loose games. But the last box game I'll show is my Japanese copy of Trip World. And like I've shown this game in a pickups video, I believe. But this is probably hands down my most valuable Game Boy game in my collection. And yeah, such a fun game too. And then the animation in this game, the story, the gameplay, it's all just really cool. So if you can play like a ROM of it or get a repro of it, I would highly suggest it because it's a cool game. And then the last games, I guess I'll just show some of my loose carts. I've got Ren and Stimpy Vidiots. This was not a really fun game, but one of my original Game Boy games. There we go. So yeah, like Ren and Stimpy was pretty big back in the day, and I played that game. Then, oh, well, here's my cartridge for Sword of Hope. I wasn't really going to show that, but whatever. And then Pokemon Gold. I can't find the box for this game, but this was another one that I had bought when I used to play my Game Boy quite a bit. Anyways, that's my original Game Boy collection. I guess I'll do Game Boy Color in another video because I didn't expect this video to go this long. Anyways, guys, I'll do that one. And then at some point I'll do Game Boy Advance. But thanks for watching the video. Hope you liked it, and hope you're having a great weekend. Later.